friends, welcome to the Plaid X2 channel. My name is John. On this channel, we talk all things physical media, so movies, music, and books. If you're into that kind of thing, go ahead and subscribe down below for more of this kind of content. Well, friends, I have another ranking video, only this one's not a ranked video. It's more of just a list video of 10 films that made me cry. So I went through my collection and I pulled the ones that I had the most vivid memories of crying in. And so I thought I would share them with you. And please do let me know in the comments below, what are the films that get you? You get a little misty in the eyes, your eyes get a little sweaty. What are the films that get you emotionally? I will confess, the older I get, the easier it is that I cry. But these are 10 films that they got me and they made me cry for sure. So anyway, here we go. The 10 films that made me cry. Again, these aren't ranked. I'm just going to go through them, the 10 films. These are in alphabetical order. So anyway, here we go. The very first film is one that I picked up at a library book sale. I brought it home, watched it, and I wept throughout it. And then at the end, there's one of the closing scenes. One of the main characters comes home and there's something he says to his family, which completely destroyed me. And it is 12 Years a Slave. If you have not seen this film, please see this film. I would refer to this film as being an important film. Some films are good, some films are powerful. This is all of that, but this is an important film. I immediately went and bought the book that this film is based on. And I've got to tell you, this film, it wrecked me. It is so good, so powerful. And again, that final scene when our main character says something to his family, it got me. It just absolutely wrecked me. So anyway, 12 Years a Slave, highly recommend this film. So the next one that got me is a Tom Hanks film. And for me, this film, my emotions built and there's so much tension and anxiety the entire time. And then at the end of this film, which is Captain Phillips, I actually got this at the same book sale as 12 Years a Slave. At the end of this film, when he is, if I'm spoiling something, I'm so sorry, but when he's rescued at the end and you see him finally relax and he begins to choke up and he begins to cry, you are also experiencing that entire emotional arc throughout the film. That end scene with Hanks, when he's rescued and he realizes he's finally okay, I lose it in that scene. I've seen this film multiple times. I lose it every single time. And I really love this film. Powerful film. One of my favorite Hanks performances. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. And it is Captain Phillips. All right, so the next film that got me and made me cry, I cried multiple times in this film. If you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know I'm a huge fan of this universe, this franchise, and it is the first Creed film. There is a moment in this film, the one that got me the most was in the final fight, when it's the two of them together in the corner. And Stallone wants to call the fight, and Creed, he doesn't want to. And then he explains to Rocky why he doesn't want him to call the fight, why it's important to him that he actually does this fight. And I'm sitting there on the couch weeping and weeping. I'm just like, this is so powerful and good. And then the music breaks in. And the first time I watched it, I literally jumped off my couch in tears, yelling at the television screen. I was so stinking excited and pumped. So this is a powerful movie for me. I am a huge fan of the Rocky franchise universe, but this one, it gets me good, and I definitely cry in this film, and it's Creed. So the next one it's technically 3 films, but it's a trilogy, and it all goes together because it's one book. And anyway, I love this one. It gets me all through, and I don't cry in one part of the 3 films. I cry in parts of all 3 of the films, so I cry throughout this one. And it is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The friendship between Sam and Frodo is so powerful. It's a friendship of walking with someone through their grief, walking with someone as they're struggling. It is so good. And the dialogue between those 2 characters and how they care for one another and walk with one another is so powerful. So yes, this one makes me cry. All 3 of the films make me cry. There are moments where I just love it. So that relationship, the friendship with Sam and Frodo, I think is just some of the best written, filmed friendship maybe I've ever seen. And so anyway, yeah, Lord of the Rings, they get me every single time. So this next film is one that I didn't think it was going to be an emotional experience for me, but it destroyed me. I ugly cried in this movie, and it is A Monster Calls. Rick from Down to Movie had recommended this one, or I think he had reviewed this one maybe, And so it sounded so interesting. I went and made sure I got a copy of this one, and it wrecks me. This is a film about grief and walking through grief. Specifically, it's a child walking through grief and all of those emotions, and it destroyed me. And it's good for anyone, kids walking with grief, adults walking with grief. And there is a moment between he and the monster where he says something to the monster. He had an expectation of the monster. And then when the monster clarifies what he meant by what he had said, that made me ugly cry. I don't want to ruin it for you because it is a beautiful line, but I highly recommend this film. It is so good. It's powerful. It is heavy, but it's so good. And yes, it made me ugly cry, and it is A Monster Calls. So the next film is one that I actually intentionally, so I saw it in theater, but I waited until I knew that the run was almost done in the theaters because I wanted to go by myself. I didn't want to be around any people. I know some people went with like huge groups of friends or groups. I didn't want to do that. I want to go by myself. So I went at like in the middle of the day, near the end of the run. There was maybe 2 other people in the theater. I stayed as far away from them as possible. And this is the most intense and physical response I've ever had to any film, and wept throughout the entire thing, and it just evoked a lot of emotion. And I know this for many people is a controversial film, but for me it was a pretty powerful experience. I've only been able to watch it one other time, and again I did it by myself when I was at home. I knew no one would be there because it's an intense experience for me, and it is actually the Passion of the Christ. Depending on where you land theologically or where you land with the person of Jesus, the historical person of Jesus, where you land in belief-wise in that, this film may hit you in a different way. For me and where I'm at in my life, my belief system, this film destroyed me. It absolutely destroyed me. I was a complete wreck in the theater. I've watched it again one more time at home, and I was a wreck. So this is not something I revisit often. It may be a film where I revisit in the future, but it is an intense film for me. And again, is hands down the most physical and emotive I think I've reacted in a film before, and it is The Passion of the Christ. So next is a film that stars one of my all-time favorite actors. And maybe you didn't cry in this film, maybe you're thinking it's silly that I did cry in this film, but there is one scene in particular that every time it gets me. The film is Patch Adams with Robin Williams, and the scene is the swimming pool full of noodles. It destroys me every single time to see the look on her face, the look on his face, connecting with where she is at emotionally. It destroys me every single time. There are other parts in this film where I also get a little emotional, but that scene, the pool with the noodles, does me in every single time. Patch Adams. Next is a film that maybe a lot of people would say not emotional at all, but for me, just for how the story touches with me personally, it is quite emotional. There are a few times in this film where I didn't expect it. It wasn't really a sad moment, but emotion just came out of me quickly, and I'm crying a few times during this one. And it's actually Patriots Day, starring Mark Wahlberg. A few reasons why this gets me is because I had a friend run in the marathon. It was the Boston Marathon where the bombing happened. Had a friend who was running in it. They were fine. They didn't get injured. weren't near what happened. But they were there, and so part of this, it connects with me on that level. And on the other level, I've run 5 marathons myself, and there's a lot of emotion that goes into that, and the training that it takes to prepare to do that thing, and then to run 26.2 miles is exhausting. The beginning for me is always emotional, the end is always emotional, and then to have something so horrific happening, such hatred and violence happening in an event that's already, if you're a runner, incredibly emotional, and emotional for the people who are there supporting you. So all of that put together in one film, and then knowing that I know someone who was there, this actually was really an emotional film for me to watch. It's a powerful film. I do highly recommend this one, and it's Patriots Day. All right, I have 2 left. The next one is my all-time favorite Adam Sandler film, and it is Reign Over Me. I think this is his best performance. I know some people would say it's his most recent film, but I love this one. For me, it gets me every time. There are 2 scenes in particular, one outside of his counselor's office when he finally begins to break and share his story, and then at the end when he confronts his in-laws. Both of those scenes they destroy me, and I weep during both of those scenes. They are so powerful, so meaningful, and Sandler just absolutely kills it. If you've never seen Reign Over Me, if maybe you're not a Sandler fan, you think he just does comedy, this is so powerful and so good. I highly, highly recommend it. Recommend this one, and it does wreck me, and it's Reign Over Me. All right, so I've been transparent. I've told you about 9 films so far that make me cry. Let me know in the comments below, what are some films that make you cry when you see them? You get a little misty-eyed, the eyes get a little sweaty. What are some films that make you cry? And here is the final film in my list that makes me cry. So for this final film, somebody told me, actually a bunch of people told me, you were gonna cry in this one, John. You're gonna weep in this one. And I was like, whatever, man. I'll be fine. I'll be absolutely fine. I was at home, I was watching this one by myself, and I was like, it'll be good, I'll watch it, it'll be fine. Yeah, it might be heartwarming or pulling the heartstrings. I'll be fine. And I was not fine. And it's the movie Wonder. I started crying when he was born in the film, that scene, and I did not finish crying until about 10 minutes after the movie was over. I'm not joking. I cried start to finish in this. As they go through all of the family stories and you're seeing life through all of their perspectives, all of it was wrecking me. I was connecting with all of them emotionally and going on their journey, walking with them. All of it was wrecking me and destroying me. I wept the entire time, the whole time in this film. This is really great. If you've never seen it, I do highly recommend this one. Have some Kleenex there. You're gonna cry, at least if you're like me, you're gonna cry and you're gonna cry hard. But this is a powerful film. It's called Wonder. Friends, thank you so much for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below, what are the films that make you cry? I would love to check them out, maybe add them to my collection. I hope you're doing well. If you did like this video, please do hit like, subscribe if you do want more of this kind of content. I hope you're doing well. Please do take care of yourself. We'll see you next time.